All right. I want to tell you about my air conditioning project. Can I tell you about my air conditioning project?
I can't. I want to say
All right.
one quick thing before we go into that. I love how I was like laughing about products branded for like men and stuff, and then we got Savage Jerky, and
Oh yeah,
then
right. Metal.
like a manscaping lawnmower and like all
Yeah.
this kind of stuff. Just so intense. Sorry. Yes. Tell me about your project. I'm very
Yes.
excited.
Okay. I am super excited about this project because, as you know, I've been working from home, and I
Yeah.
haven't had a crew to help me move heavy things around. So C-stands, lights, cameras, tripods. I've been lugging them up and down the stairs. Tables. I got to move tables around because I'm trying not to just shoot in the same spot every day, so
Makes
that
sense.
everything
Okay.
gets boring and samey. It's starting to get warm. The actual air outside is not that warm, but the sun is warm, and I live indoors with my windows closed for the most part, so it gets kind of hot in my house, at least for me. Like I'm the kind of person who's like, I like lift up my phone too fast, and I'm like, oh, I'm sweating. Like I'm not out of breath. I'm not. It's not like an out of shape thing. It's just I'm the kind of person that like immediately starts sweating when I do anything, and
Yeah.
so I was feeling really uncomfortable. And right, the straw that broke the camel's back, or should I say, the gigantic like 80-pound weight that broke the camel's back, was that while I was moving all this heavy stuff around, my stupid floor standing air conditioning unit that I put in the kids' room so that they could sleep because it was really uncomfortable. We've had a couple really intense heat waves the last few summers in a row. So I finally did it. Last year, I got these stupid air conditioning units. Don't worry, I didn't pay much for them. I actually got one of them from Nick for like, I think I paid him like $100 for it. It was a great deal. Um, yeah, it's awesome, awesome. I'm in a very good negotiating position, with him. It's not that he actually just wanted to get rid of it. He was like, okay,
I
so
assume.
yeah, he
Yeah.
moved and he didn't need it anymore. Anyway, the point is, I finally got a couple of these air conditioning units, one for each of the bedrooms, and I was moving stuff around and I was all sweaty, and then I went and I realized that was in my way, so I had to play, those little puzzles where there's 9 squares and one of them is blank, and you got to kind of move the things around. You've only got one blank square. So but my poor kid's bedroom is like full of C-stands and lights and like monitor boxes and all this crap. And I've got this stupid floor standing air conditioning unit. I've got nowhere to put it, and it's heavy. So I have to like lift it up and over something. And I'm like, screw it. I walk into the office where I'm sitting right now. Yvonne's on her computer doing accounting or something, whatever it is she does. And I'm like, okay, we got to get air conditioning. And she's like, we've been through this. We got as far as bringing people in for multiple quotes. Every single quote was between $25,000 and $30,000. Are you ready to spend $30,000? And I was like, okay, forget it. But then I went on Amazon. Okay, went on Amazon, and I was like, surely there's got to be like some way to do this. Well, okay, before I did that, first I came up with the idea of tearing apart the floor standing air conditioning units and like somehow ghetto mounting, like putting it up in the attic and like ducting the cool air down into the room and the hot air like down out of the attic and like outside or something crazy like that. And then I
One
was,
quick thing for the audience,
yeah,
because there's a decent amount of people mentioning this right now. AC is actually, I would say, probably notably uncommon in at least, I think, all of Canada, but definitely our part of Canada.
yeah, I think it's more common in the east where they have where they have hotter summers, but
Yeah.
it's not a given feature here, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, they wanted so the reason that it was 30 grand is because my house was not originally designed for it. So instead of like I use electric baseboards for heating in the upstairs. So the downstairs has forced air. So theoretically, we could run AC downstairs pretty easily, but downstairs is not where it gets hot. Upstairs is where it gets hot. So upstairs is heated by electric baseboards. Um, so there's no cooling capabilities there, and that means that there's no ducting. So there's nowhere to like run the cold air into. So anyway, I came up with the brilliant idea of like putting that thing up in the attic and then like venting the air to the places where it's supposed to go. And I was like, actually, that's really stupid. There's no way that's the best way to do this. surely there has to be a way to do this. So I come across what are called cassette air conditioners. So it's called a mini split cassette. And what it is the like air vent things that you would find in a drop ceiling in an office?
Huh.
They look kind of like a big, fat, beefy one of those for the evaporator side. So that's the cold side. And then the condenser side is just like another kind of like, boxy, like fan looking unit that just kind of sits somewhere. And it's called a mini split because the condenser and the evaporator are split from each other. And then they've got the lines running between them, the refrigerant lines. So, basically, they're like $1,000 for a 9,000 BTU unit. And then around, and that's I think USD. Hold on, let me go. So I found this brand that makes them that I assumed was like some weirdo, like no-name Chinese brand or something like that. And I was like kind of worried and sketched out because it was on Amazon and like I couldn't really find any references to them or anything like that. And then I Googled them. It turns out they're based out of Montreal. They've been around for like 15 years. They've got a whole like whack of different product offerings and all kinds of good stuff. And their Canadian pricing is actually super reasonable. So hold on, let me bring up their Canadian website. So they're called Senville. And I don't know how to find their Canadian site right now. It like prompted me last time. Anyway, it starts at $1,000 US for a 9,000 BTU unit, and then the 12,000 is like $1,200. And so I was like, wow, that's brilliant. So all I need to do is just fish the wiring out of the wall, throw this up in the ceiling, and I'm good to go. Small problem. They're 240 volt. So this is not a matter of me just making sure that I'm not on the same, that I don't overload the existing circuits. It's like, oh, I can't actually just run this off of the regular in-wall wiring. Or so I thought. I was on a phone call with Brian the electrician, and he was like, okay, well, what are you using, right now, something, what if we cleared space with your something? And he mentioned my heated baseboards. And I was like, Brian, you're a genius. I don't need the heated baseboards anymore because they're actually heat pumps. So they do both heating and cooling. Because, so his solution, he wanted to have like some kind of elaborate like changeover switch down by my panel where I was like, okay, we're in heating mode or cooling mode. And I was like, no, Brian, you're a genius. They're heat pumps. So we could actually just completely disconnect the heated baseboards and run these in the same places. So I'm waiting to hear back from them about how and if I can have smart controllers for them, because what's nice about this compared to central AC is that every room is its own individual zone and can be adjusted one by one. Now there are solutions to that. I've like actually spent a bunch of time researching this junk in the last little bit. What's it called? I don't know how well it works, so don't consider this to be an endorsement of any sort, but there's a company called Flare that makes smart vents, apparently, that will allow you to, if you have central AC, just like the little grills that go on the floor. So they will like automatically adjust, close and open themselves so that all the rooms are like cooled evenly. So I thought that was pretty neat. But in terms of like what's built into most central ACs, it's just wherever the thermostat is, that's like the temperature it cools to. And if you're far away from that, it might not be right.
So you've clearly accepted the fact that you're going to be punching holes in your ceiling.
Oh, yeah.
But you've considered the whole idea of punching holes in your roof as well?
Okay, so getting back to that, I've got a couple of different options. So basically, wherever I've got a heated baseboard, and I've got, I think it's 6 of them upstairs, I have the potential to install one of these mini split air conditioning systems. So with some caveats. So the basic like 9,000 BTU unit is like 750 watts. Whereas my smallest heated baseboard is like 350 watts. So it's not going to be a one-to-one replacement. I don't have enough power. And right, this was where I was originally really running into trouble. Was I was like, okay, I'm just going to fill my attic with these things. Except that when I installed my electric car charger, I filled the last spots on my panel. So I would have to go to the city. I would have to find out if the lines going to my house are big enough. I'd have to get a permit. I mean, I should probably get a permit for this anyway, but I won't. But I would definitely have to get a permit for something like expanding my electrical panel. And the city of Surrey is not doing permits right now because of COVID. I know that because we're trying to finish construction at the office and there's been zero progress.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Zero progress. Yeah, it's really frustrating. I know. Trust me. I know. So anyway, I was like, oh no, we can't do that. So right. So when we solved I'm telling the story totally out of order, but the point is we solved the power problem. I've got about 3,000 watts to work with. So I can either do 4 of those 9,000 BTU units, or I can do like one of the bigger 12,000 BTU ones and then like 2 9,000s, or maybe 3 9,000s. Brian says he thinks that's pretty borderline because you don't want to have too many motors running on the same circuit at a time in case they all kick on at the same time. So anyway, that's my plan. And the total cost with like hiring Brian for a weekend to come help me with it, because we're just gonna Ghetto Fabulous install them up in the attic, is gonna be somewhere in the neighborhood of around $6,000 is what I'm expecting. And so
it's a lot cheaper than 30.
It is going to be literally about a quarter the like median estimate that we got for putting like a pad outside the house, which they wouldn't even be able to do now because I added the car charger. So that wasn't even going to be an option, doing proper like central AC in this place. And they were going to put in like all this ducting and everything. And I'm sitting here looking at this going, why were you even going to do it that way? Like, I don't mind ghettoing it up a little bit. So options for installing these things. I could put them up in the attic and then like duct the heat to exhaust it out the peaks or under the soffits. But I think it would be better, better functionally to have it outside, just in case there's like condensation or whatever else. Like it would be smarter to have it mounted under the soffit outside or something like that. They're weatherproof units, so I could kind of put them anywhere. But yeah, they'll be ugly if I have them outside, but I think I can probably make do with that.
You could make a thing for them, like a housing unit box thing or something to make it less ugly.
Yeah,
you could mount them in.
They're not, as far as air conditioning units go, they're not horrendously ugly. I wish I had a convenient and easy way to send it. Oh, actually, I do have a way to send it to you. I'm just going to send it to you here. So I'll send that over to you. They look kind of like that. Like, it's not too bad, but I mean, it wouldn't look amazing. It wouldn't look amazing. Anyway, what I'm going to start with is I'm going to wait to hear back from them about smart control. It seems like as long as it's IR controlled, this Flare company says they should be able to control it because they just use the same IR signals, kind of like a universal TV remote. So I'm hoping that even if I can't use like a Nest for them, I can use this thing. Works with Nest is actually, I got an email back from them because I was thinking, well, what I could do is I could use these Flare things and then I could use Nest thermostats to communicate with those or something. And they were like, yeah, it's funny you bring that up. Since August 31st, when Google sunsetted Works with Nest, no new third-party devices can communicate with Nest Smart Thermostats. Google replaced Works with Nest with Works with Google Assistant, which cannot yet control Nest Smart Thermostats for remote sensors. I'm like, thank you, Google. This is exactly what you do. You know,
that's so stupid.
Hangouts and Hangouts Meet and Duo and whatever the crap else, things that do all the same thing and none of them actually do everything. Yeah, Allo, thank you for that. It's so frustrating, It's infuriating.
And when they launched Duo and Allo at the exact same time, I was like, this isn't going to go well.
But hey, internal competition, right? Like that's the way to build a better product, right?
Duo, you get teams... Allo, Hangouts. Let's just not make any of them better from the point that they're at now.
Well, that's what ends up happening. Like they reach that minimum viable product, they launch, and then they're like, well, now
on to the next.
I feel like in some ways Google gets trapped in the well, now that we've got this out there and we see all the problems, we've got like this grand vision, but the foundation that we laid isn't really good enough to do it. So let's just start over. I feel like they end up in that cycle over and over and over again when it's like, no, just make it like incrementally better, please. Like, yes, I know it might not be perfect, but if it's good enough that I'm using it now, then if it was 10% better next year, that would be good. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.